Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us for our second webinar of 2020, Using Join for Project Pursuit, or How to Win Business with Join. My name is Gustav Choto. I'm the Head of Customer Success here at Join. I've worked with many of you closely on implementing your projects in Join. Little background, before I came to Join, I worked in the construction industry as a pre-con manager and cost estimator at Webcore Builders, and most recently, a solution engineer for Trimble's pre-construction technology. I'm also currently teaching construction management at a local college here in San Francisco. I'm excited to have my colleague, Jim Forrester, co-founder and head of business development here at Join, with me as a panelist. Jim also has a rich background in the construction technology arena. He's co-founded and been part of several successful technology companies. Jim works closely with customers interested in using Join for Pursuit. I'm excited to have him share his insights on winning business with Join. Welcome, Jim.
Thank you, Gustav. Happy to be here.
Before we get started, I'd like to announce a few housekeeping items. Everyone on the webinar is muted. If you have a question, please feel free to raise your hand in the app and post it. Jim and I will answer questions at the end of the webinar. Make sure to put questions in the Q&A section of the app and not in the chat section. We will be recording this webinar and we'll post it to our help center in the next couple of days. All registered attendees will get a link once it's posted. Feel free to share this webinar link with your colleagues. To kick things off and set the stage for the webinar, I'd like to give you a quick synopsis of the challenges Join helps teams overcome. Project teams utilize Join from pre-construction to construction to share budget trends and target value design logs via an online platform. This allows all stakeholders to collaboratively participate, track, analyze ideas and their impact in real time for transparent decision-making. Because target value design requires a high level of collaboration, Join allows all stakeholders to easily work together, identify potential areas of study, and evaluate where cost reductions can be explored. We're not going to do a comprehensive demo of Join today. We'll be going into the product in context of our webinar. So if you'd like a demo of Join or discuss today's topic more in depth, feel free to reach out to us at hello@join.build and we can schedule a time to meet with you and your team. So today's objectives for the webinar is to discuss what owners are looking for to empower them to make timely decisions, how Join helps our customers set themselves apart using a collaborative technology, and how to bring Join into the pursuit, presentation, and best practices. So I'm going to start with a question for you, Jim. We've heard from several customers that Join has helped them in new project pursuits. From your experience, what you're hearing, what are owners looking for contractors to do during the interview phase, and how is Join helping deliver these in these instances?
So I think the biggest question is what are owners looking for? It's pretty consistent that owners want the best value for their projects. They measure that in a lot of different ways, and the most important thing for you to know is what is that key measure of success from their perspective, so that you're aligning anything you're doing in pursuit to be consistent with that. Where Join comes into the picture is being able to articulate value through the impact of every decision in real time. Being able to see that live is hugely beneficial, and spreadsheets they're lousy for telling a story of what's most impactful. In Join, everything that people are doing is front and center. The decisions that are being made that have the biggest impact are clearly articulated. So value is a direct line of sight from, as soon as they log in, they know who's made suggestions, what scopes it impacts. Owners can really easily identify where to focus on value through this collaborative experience. And just as importantly, part of the value proposition is seeing the journey of a decision from when it first comes into ideation, and it may get iterated on and information gets volunteered and people discuss and come to a conclusion. having the ability to really be able to see that and understand it throughout its journey is part of the value proposition that the owner gets out of using Join. Our trend line is a great way for people to quickly and easily visualize that. The most important thing it presents is the target value design type of experience that gives them the confidence that they are getting to their target budget with the value proposition that's in front of them.
So we have the graph up here for you guys. This is our cost trend line. It's the very first thing you see when you come in to Join. And what we're seeing here is our estimate total. And these nodes here are what you're talking about, Jim, about having those decisions front and center. What's most impactful? So here at the bottom, these nodes are telling us exactly what impact and where the line could end up if these decisions are made, either in a positive or a negative, accepted or rejected. And as we go down here, we can also look at these from a block perspective. So it kind of, as you mentioned, brings people to that front and center, know what the most impactful decision is.
So the other thing that we hear always consistently on every project is they want better collaboration. Every owner any experienced owner has had experience with bad team behavior. And it can be pretty challenging for a project success. And there are numerous studies out there that talk to the collaborative aspect of a project and the impact it will have on the successful outcome of that project delivery. And so being able to show the owner during the pursuit phase how easy it is for different stakeholders to collaborate together. Oftentimes you can do that if you're presenting a live demo by highlighting the fact that you can invite critical stakeholders in for informing decisions. That's a really impactful way for owners to see that it is a tool that really can be used by everyone that's got information to bring to the project. And the other value around collaboration is that conversations about every decision is one place. You don't have to have these separate email threads where you may be discussing something and then somebody either forgets to include that later, or a decision gets made and it's separated from the rest of the project. By doing everything within Join, you have that full decision tree around everything that took place and a history that shows what people have done. And this sort of is very helpful for the ability to get away from email by using in-app commenting and containing all of the threads and conversation in one place.
Excellent. So what I was, I'm Jim, I'm guiding them through your commentary as we're going. So a couple of places I'd like to bring your attention to. Collaborators page allows you to bring in your collaborators. You can set permissions. So if you're the GC or you're the owner, you have a certain experience that you'll see in Join. We look at the GC as kind of the quarterback for the whole thing. So they'll set that experience up. And you also mentioned in-item collaboration. So getting away, trying to kill email, because we know that email is one of the places where things fall through the crack the most. Here in Join, we have the ability to leave a comment, and this triggers an email, but keeps that conversation thread going within context of what the item is.
Yeah, and that sort of leads to the next thing. Owners really want more transparency, and sort of the flip side of that comes from transparency is accountability. Nobody wants surprises or bad news on a project, and oftentimes, things do involve difficult conversations, and again, experienced owners have had a lot of contentious OAC meetings because information isn't readily available or is clear or who owns it, and that just leads to people sort of going away from a project and not being as collaborative as you need to be. So conveying confidence that everything has an owner, every item has an owner, it's got a due date, there's full accountability, so you know who's got ball in court. That is sort of a key confidence builder with an owner during your pursuit presentation. Furthermore, just knowing that the different stakeholders are all able to see what's under consideration helps to bring in members of the design team, so they're not feeling contentious. They know what's been assigned to them. It's clear. It's not a surprise. this again leads to just better accountability and better collaboration. And Gustav's already highlighted that audit log. When people know that they are being tracked and monitored, that accountability sort of leads to better behavior. And owners really like this. Every presentation we've given for that, showing that history of what's transpired around an item is something that owners feel like gives them the confidence to know that if a decision gets made, there's not going to be a lot of finger pointing later.
See, I wanted to touch on one part of that. You said transparency. One of the areas that I noticed when I was in the industry, owners have a hard time really understanding estimates that we're creating. I think one of the areas where I've heard owners say, hey, this is quote unquote money, is when they go to our estimate graph page. This really allows owners to get insights into the numbers that they just can't get out of a spreadsheet. So they can quickly flex the data in the way that makes most sense to them, and also see what their target budgets are in comparison to where the estimate is. And within our milestones page, we have our milestone report. So you can really you don't need to be a computer wizard or an estimator to really flex the data in however way you want to see it.
And I think these types of presentations, you don't need to go into a lot of detail if you're presenting Join in a pursuit presentation. Staying on the dashboard view and just talking to the information they get, or this milestone, if you've created one, the milestone report conveys a lot of information that you can speak to around, again, just some of these topics of transparency, collaboration, consistency, and confidence. I haven't spoken about those two things, but those are, owners don't want to be seeing different presentations in every OAC meeting. And when you have to scramble to come up with a presentation that you need, that leads to confusion, and you waste a lot of time in different meetings trying to get them to understand the numbers that are in front of them. So having a consistent experience when they are going forward during pre-construction and into execution gives them a way to have confidence to be able to make some of the decisions they need to. And speaking of confidence, they need to have confidence in you guys that they're picking a team that's going to listen to them and know that they're being heard. And that is critical to them making timely decisions. So you have to give them that confidence early on. And you do that now through traditional sort of BD efforts where you're highlighting past successes for similar projects. And that's sort of a pursuit methodology that people have used for a long time. But being able to do a live interactive presentation that can give them a taste of what they might be using with decisions that are in flight can be very compelling for an owner that tends to be more engaged and really wants to dig into details and knows that you're going to be coming to every meeting with the type of information that they want to see. And then I'll just touch on this last one because you asked kind of a hard question there, Gustav. The last one that owners are looking for, we've heard it pretty consistently, is are you taking advantage of this wave of innovation that's taking place in our industry? We've had several different projects, a recent hospital project where the team came to us and said, the owner specifically said they needed more confidence that the team wasn't going to show up with the same tired spreadsheets that they'd seen before, and that the contractor was investing in more modern technologies to help them overcome some of the past challenges with a contentious VE cycle. So treat this as a selling opportunity where you can show that your company is investing in technology that positively is changing the way that people collaborate and interact with each other. So long-winded answer to your question, Gustav.
Great answer, though. Thanks, Jim. All right, so next question for you. Pick up on that last point. How are customers setting themselves apart with Join and their use of technology?
So GC business development has specific ways they like to present information pursuit, and augmenting with Join graphics, showing cost trend lines and for past projects that were successful has worked well with both existing clients and new opportunities. And our dashboard view is a great example of those types of things that you can come as part of that presentation. Being able to talk effectively about your innovation initiatives and how you're capitalizing on this is important. And when you do so, you're able to act more responsibly to an owner and project's needs, because these types of tools do make information more accessible in multiple ways at multiple times of day in any format at the time that's most important and relevant to them. So calling out these mutual benefits of innovative technologies like Join is important. How is information securely stored? You know, the fact that it's redundantly backed up, that it's not on a private server somewhere, it is, you know, in a secure place. Where's this, you know, that you have one source of truth versus many file-based versions of spreadsheets or other documents that you have to sort through at the end and understand which is the latest. This is also super important from a records retention perspective, where you know that at the end you've got sort of that single source of truth that all stakeholders can have and have collaborated together with. This gives you a lot more accountability when you've got this log of changes that people can look back to later if there's ever a question about things as part of their document retention process.
Outside of like being able to tell them one-on-one, what are some of the ways that companies can do it outside of that? Like, we have social media now. Like, what are you suggesting that GCs do to kind of promote what they're doing?
Yeah, you know, LinkedIn is sort of the go-to place for being able to broadcast about some of these types of things. And we see some of our customers posting videos and links to, you know, projects that have been successful. But you can get more specific around just individual, you know, how you've won a project by using a technology like Join, or just how your team sort of rallied together during a collaborative session that led to a really critical breakthrough in a particularly contentious project. You know, Twitter and LinkedIn are your best vehicles for that. You should be doing those kinds of things all the time, and you know, highlighting your technology initiative along with all your project successes is really important for your owner community to know that you're leading the way in this industry.
Thanks, Jim. Great answer. So Jim, in recent years, we've seen a large spike in projects moving toward the design, build, delivery method. With this delivery method, there's a level of trust that needs to be gained by the GC in order to get an owner on board. In your opinion, how does Join help alleviate the owner's worries and add confidence throughout the process?
Yeah, as you mentioned, design build does require the owner to have a lot more trust in the GC and for that matter, the entire team, to know that they're, you know, all working sort of collaboratively together. The traditional method has been for GCs to share spreadsheets via email. And as you can imagine, that information is only as good as the moment the GC clicked send on that email, because that spreadsheet then immediately gets changed by somebody on the team, or it's out of date. So with Join, owners that want to get a pulse on their project can log in, you know, via their browser at any time, anywhere, and get immediate answers and insights. So, you know, part of the reason they really struggle with, you know, if they're struggling with this design build sort of concept and, you know, and they're losing sleep over it, they give them the confidence that they can log in at any time and know exactly where their project is at. You know, how is it trending? If they're worried about a particular decision, did somebody, you know, who owns it? Who's got it? Who's got ball in court? That all of that information is accessible to them at any time. So for owners that are new in design build, these overcome the challenges that may have made them reluctant to get into this type of methodology in the past. And admittedly, not all owners want the amount of detail that might be available within Join, but almost all of them do want to know that they've got access to it should they need it in the moment. And nothing is more frustrating for an owner than not knowing where their project budget is at. And Join really gives them a portal into that view at any time.
So kind of taking that wave of technology where I think society in general is wanting more data, or at least being able to access it, right? Know something in the moment, not have to wait for it. So kind of satiating that need to have information at your fingertips.
Absolutely.
I think that's what I'm hearing.
Yeah. And the confidence to know that it's there, if, you know, even if they don't care about it, it's there.
Yeah. There's some sort of security blanket around knowing that the information is available if you need it. Jim, how are customers bringing Join in Pursuit presentations, what are some of the best practices that you've seen? I know we've had several companies, even in the last, funny enough, in the last few days, going in and presenting and using Join to differentiate. Like, what are some of the best practices that you think a GC could implement as they move forward in this, and how they can engage with their business development teams as well?
Yeah, I think the fundamental starting place is really to decide the level of effort that you can expend on this project. Not all Pursuit projects are equal. Some are with maybe new clients that you have to do some different kinds of things than somebody you've worked with in the past. Do you need to get your design team involved in your presentation and show early collaboration? Just really understanding, how much effort you can afford to bring into this Pursuit project is sort of the first starting point. Is there an RFP? Do they have specific requirements that they're looking for that they've identified in the RFP? And do those program and client expectations sort of fit and align? And is there an opportunity there for you to respond and react to it? And so as to using Join, there's a few different ways to start. So you could start with an empty project and populate it with customer specific, items and estimate and target budget data, or you can use one of the sandbox projects that we can make available to you just to show concepts. The project Gustav is showing is our sandbox. If that's just a way to talk to the concepts in front of an owner or capture some screenshots that you can incorporate into your presentation, we're happy to make that available to you. So drilling down a little further, I mean, do you make it real, or do you use generic? If you've got enough information for Join to look its best, it's vital that you have an impactful dashboard to present to an owner during Pursuit. Make sure you've got their logos in there. It's easy to add that in the projects tab. That goes a long ways. And generate, if you've got an owner that's not as tech savvy, show them that you can quickly generate a PDF out of any view that might be interesting or relevant to them. That information, for those that want it in report form, is accessible in that format too. So we've seen Join customers use just screenshots of the app or of their project and their data, or do live demos. Live demos are a little, you need to be confident in your presentation skills, but they can be the most impactful because owners really see that it's real. They feel the experience, they can see it up there on the screen, they can interact with it. And that can be the most impactful if you've got a live presentation opportunity. If there isn't time for that, then do use screenshots. We can provide you with some curated screenshots that we've got of our app, if that would be helpful in your Pursuit project. So feel free to ask us if there's anything we can do to help if you've got an RFP that you need to respond to and you need specific answers or topics that you would like our input on.
So you're saying if they have a sandbox they want to use, they could just send us some of their logos, some of their renderings, and we can make it look like a real project, or help them set up a new project.
Yeah, we're happy to help set up a new project. You can just go to in the projects on the Join start page. You can create a new project if you want to create a project from scratch and just populate it. If you've got data that you want to put in there, feel free to do so.
Excellent, and we're here to help as well. So you don't feel like you're alone in that process. All right, next question, Jim. What if I have multiple past projects and I've got VE logs that I'd like to bring into Join and create some graphics for the presentation? How do I go about that?
So that's a question we get asked all the time. And, oftentimes you've got logs that maybe you're mid-project and you want to use something you've already got for Pursuit purposes. Most people are already using Excel for managing that VE data. So we've got the ability to import that. If you've got stuff that you want to share with us, be it a single project or multiple projects, that you can bring in, and we've got some internal tools we could use to import that into a project, and then you can have all the benefits of seeing that live and be able to use that as part of your presentation.
Thanks. So showing a BIM model in a presentation has been around for a while. Can you tell me what's the difference about having a model in Join versus using it, showing it in the authoring tool, say like a Revit?
Yeah, so 3D models are great because it gives you, the owner can feel like the project's real, and it gives you visual context. But using a BIM authoring tool like Revit can be a challenge for those that aren't experts, especially if you're trying to do that live in a presentation. So our model viewer allows you to make the model accessible to everyone, not just a BIM specialist. And Join users don't need the heavy authoring tool to go with it if a model is shared, so they can easily navigate it and present it within their browser. Showing that model during a pursuit presentation can be very impactful, not only because then you can talk about the fact that you're using how you're using models as part of your process, but also how that can help inform just the decision-making process that's used within Join. This also goes a long ways towards the design team being confident in coming along on the ride with you, because they can use this information to call out areas of potential impact around design iterations that they may be exploring for further evaluation. So there's a lot to be had by just that visual experience, especially in when an owner is struggling to understand, where is it, what part of the building, can you show me more details, being able to call that up quickly and effectively, and do any quick sort of descriptions that might be relevant or super impactful.
Awesome. And I was just showing a quick snippet while you were talking. You can find the BIM browser within our milestones page and also within an item. Jim, how can you get members of the design team or trades more engaged when they're not contracted to do anything?
Yeah, great question. Everyone's so busy. They don't have extra cycles to spend on this, but everyone needs to be available to help your business when it comes to win new work. And, when your business development team comes to you and says, we need this, this, and this, you always need to be responsive to that. If you've shortlisted some potential partners you'd like to work with, that really is helpful. It's important to understand, amongst those team members, what process and technologies each of you are using, so that you can go into any sort of pursuit presentation with, a guarantee of success. So have those conversations with those guys before you go too far in any sort of pursuit. Talk about the different tools that you're using, and how you may effectively want to convey the benefits of those to the stakeholder, each of the stakeholders, especially the owner. We've talked about a bunch of those already. The greater transparency means, no surprises. That always resonates with the design team. Improved collaboration, since things don't, live in multiple locations, like separate email threads. That really helps your team out when you're sort of trying to coalesce and bring information into a decision-making context. And real-time access to the information just resonates with everybody, be it the trades or the design folks, so that if they have something that you need from them, that they can jump in and provide that with little effort on their part. And if you find that you're trying to bring some of these guys along in a collaborative pursuit, and they would like more information about Join, feel free to send them our way. We'd be happy to walk them through the product and show them what Join does, and answer any questions they may have.
So Jim, we're coming up against the clock a little bit. We did start a few minutes late, so I only got 2 more questions for you.
Okay. I'll be quick.
This one. So Join is great with cost challenge projects. We know that. But you don't know if a project is cost challenge in a pursuit. So is Join good for every project, or just those that you already have a sense will be cost challenged?
Yeah, you don't know. Oftentimes you may not know at the outset whether the project is going to be cost challenged or not. You kind of have a sense as soon as you start seeing, some of the program information. But every project has lots of different iterations and concepts to explore, ideas that need to be vetted. So whether it's cost challenged or not, Join is the perfect collaborative platform for your stakeholders to share these ideas and collectively understand the impact of these on, as you're going through things. So that's true in every project, whether it's cost challenged or not. And another thing to keep in mind is oftentimes you'll look at something and you'll start forming ideas right off the bat on things that you can potentially suggest. And going in and during pursuit where you can, share some of those ideas through Join as VE items that you can give to the owner and show, hey, here's some areas that we can explore where you might get more value out of it, and be doing that really from the outset gives them a ton of confidence. So bottom line is Join isn't just for cost challenge projects. It's really for every project that's looking to capture a comprehensive record of the ideas and decisions that went into consideration before and after execution. So don't think of Join as suitable just for cost challenge projects.
So this makes me think of kind of your top 5 and bringing value. It's not just about trying to relieve things when things are going bad, but actually bring value to the table and say, hey, I can make things better, and I have a way to show that.
Absolutely.
So on the topic of cost, what does it cost to use Join for Pursuit?
Yeah, great question. That question always comes up. So we've had our policy so far is, if you want to use it for Pursuit, we're not going to charge you for that. If you win the project, start using Join, then we charge a similar manner to your current contract structure. So, don't be hesitant if you've got a project you want to use in Pursuit to start a new project and go forward. Just let us know what you're up to and how we can help. You should emphasize that, during your Pursuit process, though, that the biggest winner in all of this, is the owner. The owner gets all of the benefits we've talked about from the collaborative experience Join provides and the results of a more healthy dynamic for the different stakeholders that are collaborating together, and ultimately to a better project in the end. So, as the primary beneficiary, don't be hesitant to talk about passing the cost of using Join along to the owner. We've had many customers successfully do this on their projects, and the owner, they see the value that they're going to be getting out of it, and for them this is table stakes compared to some of the bigger costs that they're looking at for the challenges that they will be avoiding by just using Join.
So we're pretty much up against the clock, and I want to leave a little time for questions, but do you have any last comments before we open up for questions?
Yeah, just feel confident that you can win more business using Join.
Thanks, Jim. All right, so we're going to move over to Q&A. Let's see here. I think you have them on your screen.
I'm not seeing any questions yet. All right, first question is can we get a summary of selling points we can share with an owner? That's a great suggestion. We'll take that on board and make that accessible to you in a follow-up.
Awesome. So
keep those questions coming in, guys.
So we have a question here. It says, if an owner is skeptical about technologies, what are some of the ways we can kind of alleviate that?
Yeah, I think in this day and age, there are surprisingly still many that are, hesitant about putting things in, quote unquote, the cloud. There is no reason why that should still exist, but unfortunately it does. There are a lot of reasons why actually the cloud is more secure and safe than things that you might be doing on premise. There are different studies out there that point to this, that not only come from the vendors that provide that stuff, but just independently. So I think for many owners that still like to work in a more traditional method, like PDF and paper, just saying, look, we're gonna use this because it helps everybody and it helps you as well. If you still want something that is in a more immutable format like a PDF, we can generate those reports out of Join and make those available to you.
I think we had 2 more pop in there.
Do we have formal training for GCs so that we can get our teams trained? Absolutely. Don't hesitate to reach out to Gustav at join.build or hello@join.build. We'd be more than happy to walk you guys through how to use Join more effectively.
Yeah, we actually had a couple lunch and learns a couple weeks ago with some of our customers up in Sacramento. So we do those all the time. just let us know ahead of time, and we can get it nicely teed up for you.
So next question is, are there best practice information that Join has available to share with users to best incorporate the owner group in the process? We've touched on a number of those things so far, and I think what we should do is try to articulate that in perhaps a follow-up blog post that we can put out there. And I love the suggestion. We have all of that information that we'll put together and make available. We can talk through some of those individually with any of you that may, if you're going into a pursuit and you want to be able to have those talking points. Some of those are from my notes here that I'd be happy to put into a more immediate form for anybody that has a project coming up that you'd like those at your fingertips.
Yep. Whoa, now they're all coming in.
Great. So marketing wise, are there some guidelines you can provide or have that could help us with slide content for interviews? We've seen a few different presentations that people have done. The main thing is really speaking to sort of the graphical presentation of the information. That is a much better way for a lot of owners to comprehend what's being presented to them versus a sort of a more traditional spreadsheet view. So we tend to, when we get asked from the marketing side to gather this, what we'll tend to do are work with you to either incorporate existing projects that you may have logs for that we can import into Join and generate some of this data, and then just have them available sort of in a side-by-side view. So you can say, like, here's 3 hospitals we've done together with you, Mr. or Ms. Owner, and here's how sort of the trends for these successfully got to budget. Those are some ways that we have seen people successfully go forward. Every project and every owner is a little different, so if you've got some specific questions on that, I'd be happy to pick up that conversation with any of you individually.
So we've got a couple more, but we're up against the clock. You want to just cherry pick 1 or 2 there, and we can close things up.
So are there any graphs or charts that show variance between design iterations? Our app doesn't do that yet. I'm excited to say that it's something we're working on that will be coming, but you can easily pull that together by having that information in different projects and being able to just pull that out into a presentation that you're going to be sharing as part of Pursuit. And I've sort of picked and choose. I'll let you pick the last one, Gustav, the last question for me.
All right. Let's see, let me go back to my list here. So, so somebody's asking here, how do we best get our business development group involved and informed about Join, so that they know that it's a tool we have in our arsenal?
I think that's a great question. We have had, I think, very successful engagements with the business development folks that have sort of reached out to us directly. I think they are oftentimes way ahead of the ask that they may have of you. They know about a project, they're already pulling things together, they've got an idea in mind and how to go about winning the project, and then they're coming to some of the people who might be involved in execution or in pre-construction and saying, I need this, this, and this. But getting them better informed about what's available to them is something that we'd be happy to speak with them directly and answer any questions, show them the product, talk about how some of the things we've talked about today. So if you've got a business development person on staff that isn't able to join us today, if you want to make a mutual introduction, I'd be more than happy to have a conversation with them and share not only a link to this video, but also any questions they may have as follow-up.
Excellent. Well, Jim, I think that takes us to the end of our webinar. Just have some closing notes here for you guys. So, lost my spot. There we go. All right. So, my final thoughts for you guys. If you'd like to use Join for a project or two, it's as easy as emailing us at hello@join.build. And we'll add you to the sandbox, or if you prefer, we can set up a project for you specifically for the actual pursuit, and we can help you guys set that up with all the project specifics. And the last piece is just announce our next webinar. So join us on March 16th for our next installation of our webinar, The Power of Custom WBS and Categorization in Join. We're launching a new feature shortly, which will allow you to categorize at the line level and within an item. So we'll be showcasing the power of that, and also just categorization within Join in general, so you can slice and dice and the project and the cost as you see fit.
That sounds exciting. I'm looking forward to that one, Gustav.
I have too. Well, thank you, everybody. We appreciate your time, and we look forward to seeing you on the next one. Feel free to reach out if you need us. Take care.